if I want to know about all the words, do I have to get on TikTok? What do I, come on.
Yeah, probably. Like, certainly if you want to find out about young people's words, definitely.
I just have to open it up and just, start watching. I got shit to do.
Because young people don't read Twitter.
I've seen you on Twitter, Daniel. You don't have shit to do.
Okay. No, it's just that Twitter is one of that shit. One of those shitty things that I gotta do.
What I would say is just do a bit less Twitter and a bit more TikTok.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Because Language, a show about linguistics, the science of language. I'm Daniel Midgley. Let's meet the team. We have the hardworking, the capable, the one who cats love to sit on, Hedvig Hurgard.
Yes, hello. It's cold in Europe, so my cats sit on me because it's cold. It's science, baby. I
think it's charming. Heat seekers.
Oh yeah, heat-seeking permissiles.
Yeah, I have 2 hot water bottles with very cute covers. This is one of the covers.
I really feel like you should have more respect when you talk about your cats. It's not
the cats, it's actual hot water bottles.
I'm joking.
But I have placed these around the bed and around the house, and the cats actually do not particularly go for them.
Well, that would suggest to me, Hedvig, that something is at work beyond simply warmth.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
they want to take up the space that you're taking up.
Yeah. There's baser level dickheadery.
They're trying to drive you out. They don't care about the water bottles.
Yeah.
We also have the lovely and talented Ben Ainsley, who has a cat who probably sits on him.
Nah, not as much. Australia is pretty warm. And so my cat, as affectionate as she is, and she is a very affectionate cat, she'll come in for it and she'll be like, oh, hey, what's going on? I'm in a real purry mood. Hey, I should definitely sit in your lap and purr away. And then you start patting her. And after about 5 minutes, she clearly is like, oh,
it's hot.
I gotta go. I'm sorry. This has been nice, but I'm out.
It's hot. My kids do the same thing. Daddy, oh, you're hot. Oh, my goodness.
You've been way too warm.
What is the temperature in Perth right now?
It's actually been a very mild summer so far.
It's been very temperate.
Too many stinkers, so it's just been sitting around like 30, 32, 33 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been nice.
Which for us is like luxurious.
And has everyone had a good break? We have taken a bit of a break, but now we're back.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed the holidays.
I had a pretty good holiday.
It's really nice to see you guys.
Yeah, great to be here. Hey, in our earlier episodes, we did our words of the week of the year for 2022. And of course, our word of the week of the year was...
I can't even remember.
Yes.
It was yes. Yes for non-polar questions.
Yeah.
How many meatballs do you want? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But earlier this month, members and friends of the American Dialect Society piled into a room, as they do every year, and voted on their word of the year. I wasn't able to attend this time because it was live only, but it sounds like it was a lot of fun, as always. It's always kind of fun to see which ones of our words get selected. Of course, we nominated many of ours. We nominated Bachelor's Handbag, even though it was Australian, just for fun.
How do we tend to do, out of interest? Like, how on the money does Talk the Talk tend to be?
What show? What's the name? What?
Oh, sorry. Shit. Ooh.
That's $1 in the talk jar.
Hedvig has clearly infected me with her slow getting started of the engine.
Oh, blame Hedvig. Hedvig doesn't do that shit.
Have I been slow in this conversation so far?
No, not at all, but I am desperately grasping at straws to justify my own.
We just know that it's early for you and you just woke up with cats. You woke up with cats on you. We don't blame you at all.
How does Because Language and In a Prior Incantation, the show that shall not be named, how do we stack up? How do we tend to do? Are we like tastemakers who never fail to miss a shot? Or are we kind of like on our own little weird level?
We're about 50-50. There are only a few that I've never, ever heard of. And then most of them have been at least featured if they didn't make our top 10. There are a lot of emoji that we didn't get. There are some forehead slappers. It's like, oh, I can't believe I missed that one.
Can I just say I'm not confident that I care.
About
Like,
emojis?
I would be quite happy if, because language was a little separate universe sphere.
Oh, okay. You wanted to find our own weird, wild, and wonderful parts of linguistics.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I feel like
I stand that.
I feel like I'm very happy with that. I don't feel like we need to conform
Cool.
to the rest.
Well,
Okay.
gee, Willikers, Daniel, now I want to know. What do we got? Lay them on me.
Well, let's start with their word of the year, because it's the one that everyone's seen around the place, and boy, is this one polarizing. Their word of the year was a combining form, a piece of a word that you stick onto other words, and it's
Oh, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
ussy.
Yep.
Suffix. It started its life as pussy. It then moved in the gay community to bussy, a boy pussy, which is your ass. Also, ussification, the process of creating new blended words with the ussy suffix. Man, oh man, it won, and it was not close.
And people were mad.
And people were elated as well.
What are the other productive endings of ussy? Because I know bussy, right? Boy pussy. What else is more than just like a flash in the pan?
You
I think
could
it's
fuck
like-
somebody in the thrussie.
Okay.
I think people argue that you could also do it for like mailbox is a mail-see, or, you know,
Yes.
USB
Okay, I'm
input.
sure
But
people
none-
could argue
yeah, exactly,
that, but are they
exactly.
using it?
I am.
I sense a strong vein of doubt in Hedwig.
It's like
that's what I would
It's
describe
like
that
when
as.
we had on the show a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about the fucking infix, and people are like, abso-fucking-lutely, and then like people can think of like 4 more
fan fucking tastic and
fan
like
fucking
a few.
tastic.
yeah.
And
Unbefucking
now we're
believable.
gonna get listeners coming in with the other 3 members of this category.
It's
Yeah,
not
okay.
3. It's terribly productive. You can do it with any.
then bet, buddy. Give me a list. Come on, let's
Yeah.
hear it. Ones that
Go
people
ahead.
use.
Give me a 4-syllable word.
No. As in
No,
not
ussy.
the in fucking.
Oh, with
whatever.
ussy?
Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, we featured a TikTok video where a TikToker said, hey, there's only one chargussy in this room. I like electricity, personally. Hey, this stereo has a cassettussy. I didn't know we still used those.
But that was a comedy TikTok video.
It was.
Yeah, they're
And-
making fun of the ridiculousness of it as a. I want numbers. Damn
Let's
it.
be, let's be clear. Let's be clear. Anybody who does use this is doing it so that they can be funny and a little bit offensive and creative.
Yeah.
That is true.
I've got to be
I
honest
don't-
though. Can I be like the curmudgeon? Oh, that's unusual for me. I know.
What?
And just be like, is the vaguely funny? I'm not ruling on the quality of the funny because obviously that's super subjective, but more just the fact that it's like it's not that popular as a satirical motif. Is that really what we think should be word of the year?
Here's the other aspect. You wouldn't believe how happy some people were that this one, but like there was a sense of lightness, of frivolity. We've had so many political dark words. We've had so many COVID words. The idea that this was something fun and silly and sort of gender neutral. I wasn't even there. And the sense I got from reading all of the tweets was just this palpable sense of joy and disgust.
Look, I guess I kind of get that, but at the same time, I'm also like, is this just the tragic desperation of a bunch of people who just don't want another sad thing?
Yeah.
And then
and
you blame them.
also, I think it's masquerading like a lot of people, in particular Americans, and like for good reasons, don't want to talk about the pandemic being over, right?
Because it's not.
Because it's
And-
fully not.
Because it's fucking not.
Yeah.
And last word of the year was something at least crisis related, right?
What was the ADS word of the year last year?
Oh.
I should remember this. This is the problem with the whole enterprise, isn't it?
Well, look,
Yeah.
I think within our show, we can pretty clearly see there's 2 nays and 1 yay to this being the word of the year. Daniel seems pretty chuffed by it, and Hedvig and I are both we're both against
It's
it. But if
fun.
it's what, like, it's fine, right? But you don't want fine to be the thing that wins. You want something awesome and like really productive and linguistically impressive and all those sorts of things to be the thing that wins the word of the year, in my opinion. Well, anyway, what did it beat out? Let's really get our like pitchforks sort of like raised.
I'm not done. I'm not done with this. I think the emergence of a new productive form is something interesting. Like, because is an old word, but it got used in new ways, and so they liked it.
Or like no,
because.
Right? Like, that is, I'm seeing that way more than USSY, like everywhere.
Okay. All right. Here's the other thing. There's another template that USSY is used for, and that is putting one's whole USSY into something. So, I used it when I was talking about Grover on Sesame Street during the Grover dance. He put his whole Grovussy into it. One of the items that our patrons are going to be getting is a sticker, put your whole lingussy into it.
It's a funny joke. I agree with you. And it is funny how it is so like evocative of like something like fleshy.
Yes, like, very much. Very much.
Immediately, right?
It is.
Like if someone says like electricity or USB-OC or something, you're like, it's now
that reminds me
wet and fleshy and moist.
For me, it's really reminiscent of the lack of a word in English, certainly, for the butthole. Like it, there's no.
I feel like there are many.
No. Yeah, there are many. What I mean is there is no authentically neutral way to refer to that thing, right? Like you can say penis. No. Yeah, you can say penis. You can say vulva or vagina, depending on where you fall on that particular one. But if you say anus, it sounds weirdly sort of scientific as opposed to the other ones, which just sound like normal descriptors. But if you don't go with anus or sphincter, like if you've got a problem that you need your partner to look at, for instance, and you need to say to them, I need you to have a look at my... If you say anus, it's like you're doing a weird doctor thing. And if you say butt, you're not being clear enough because they're going to ask what part of your butt.
No,
and then
they're
you say,
not.
well,
my bussy. That's what I need. I need you to look at my bussy.
And then you have to say, I mean, my anal sphincter or my butthole. And there's just no neutral, there's no middle line, there's no pun intended. There's no...
For some people there is, Ben.
And I find pussy and ussy a similar thing, right? It's a deeply, like if you say butthole, a person is just like, oh, yep, that is just right there in my head now. And I feel like ussy is exactly the same thing, right? Like if you say vajussy or grovussy or whatever, there's just an instantaneous like,
well, that's the look that Hedvig gave just a second ago. The squashy Kermit face was the same. I was describing Ussy to my 27-year-old son, and he just sat there with a look on the sour lemon face.
Oh, no.
And then he said, no.
That's not a thing you want your father to describe to you.
Yeah, exactly, right? Okay.
Sorry, kid, your father's a linguist. Anyway.
Ussy is the word of the year.
Whoop.
Are we done? Can we talk about what it beat?
The other ones that it beat out. Dark Brandon, the sinister, powerful alter ego of Joe Biden.
Boo.
Quiet quitting. Boo.
Yeah, I'm also not down with that.
Slava Ukraini. Glory to Ukraine.
Is that a word of the year or a sentiment we have? Like, what are we... Yeah, that's the question, right? Like, what are we...
I haven't come across Slava Ukraini much myself. I don't know if that's more prevalent in, like, a European blogosphere or something.
I've heard it a lot at, like, demonstrations and TikToks and things, but I don't think anyone would call it, like, the English word of the year.
It's something that I've seen people say and write and stick on their profiles.
Yeah. But people... Yeah, anyway. Mm-hmm.
Special military operation. All right.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting word of the year because it doesn't mean what it looks like it means.
Yes, it's a lie. Yes. It's a word that lies.
It's a lie. Which is...
It's a euphemism. I think we'll see it come up again in the euphemism of the year. But anyway, let's see. The one that I missed, Riz. Riz, short for charisma.
A fresh entrant in the so special category of words you should not use if you are over the age of like 25, 26, lest you run the very real risk of seeming horrendously tragic and out of touch. Like it is a very young person's word.
Oh, come on. I got the Riz.
That sounds like Hedwig catnip.
It does. I'm trying to warn you now, mate. Like, it's not for us.
I'm gonna walk up to some young people.
I will say this though, Riz has definitely taken off. Like it is.
Oh yeah.
It is the word that everyone under the age of 25 uses to mean how sexy they are or how attractive they are to the people that they want to attract in the world. Like no one says like, oh, you're looking good anymore if you're young. I see predominantly young people be like, oh, check out the Riz, or like, look at this person's Riz, or look at my Riz. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But specifically from a attracting a mate kind of dimension.
Yeah, okay.
That quiet confidence, that effortless attraction power.
And then you see a lot of people playing with it, like people sort of in wheelchairs making sort of jests about like, what's my Riz? And then like the camera zooms out to my wheels, my Riz, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one, most useful or most likely to succeed. There were climate criminal, somebody who flies in jets a lot.
Okay.
Long-termism, a view toward improving the distant future.
Wait.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Question. This category is the word that people think is going to stick around the most?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, this sounds like a good word of the year. Like that
It's a
category
good
sounds
category.
like what Ben and I want word of the year to be.
You wanted to
Okay.
do something that'll stick
Okay, Ben,
around.
this is our let's focus
is
in
our
on
category.
this.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay.
Nepo baby.
Wow.
This one was
just a late entrant, right?
A late entrant.
But hit the scene strong.
Yeah, C. Jane Cricket was the one who put that out there, switching to a different document. There was an article by Nate Jones in New York Magazine, possibly a tad deranged in its completeness, revealing that supermodels, actors, photographers, people in the industry are there. They might not be there because of their parents, but they definitely have parents. And Hollywood and politics.
What does that sentence
They
mean?
got a
Everyone
privileged
has
start.
parents, Daniel.
They got a privilege. I'm not saying I know why they're famous because, of course
the
they work
article
hard.
was
Stuff like that.
very much saying that. So you can just say what the article was saying. The article was
Or at least
definitely
that, like,
saying that they
they
are
got-
famous because their parents parachuted them into fame and success.
Yeah.
That's what the article alleges, yes. Hollywood acting and politics, definitely dynastic. You know what else is dynastic? Academia. I mean,
Ooh.
one of the best indicators of being an academic is that your parents were academics. Like my dad was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Shame you're not, Daniel. Oh!
I escaped.
I'm the first in my family to have a PhD, though. No, I'm second.
Congratulations.
No one cares about the sophomore PhD.
No, my cousin Frederick, we're the same
What?
kinship tier, and
What?
You're still special.
What PhD did he get?
he is in like computer security, cybersecurity stuff.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
a good one.
Oh,
That's a good PhD.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets like interviewed on the news sometimes when they're like, "Oh no, someone's been
yuck,
hacked."
What a wanker! Oh, we hate Frederick.
When we're talking about nepotism, we often don't talk about the flip side of nepotism, and that is that poverty can be passed down from generation to generation. There are certain kinds of professions that aren't paid well, and they get taken up by successive generations too.
It's passing on profession, but that is not what the word nepotism means.
No.
Nepotism is passing on privilege and success. Do you know what nepo comes from?
Oh, go ahead, Hedwig. I know this one, but I want you to say it.
I think it's Latin for nephew, right?
Yes, it is. Italian, yes. Nepote.
Yeah.
There we go.
It was
Giving
like you.
nephew's a good spot.
Yeah.
What if it's not your nephew?
It's just nepotism.
Could be.
Nibblingism.
Nibbletism. We got there at exactly the
We
same
need
time.
that. That's the word. That's the word. The winner in this category, quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Drawing a line between your work and your life and not letting it invade. Okay.
I feel like quiet quitting. Here's my thing on why I don't particularly love quiet quitting.
Okay.
It gives like sorry, I want to be clear. Here's my thing on why I don't like the phrase quiet quitting as a representation of the idea behind it. The idea behind it is perfectly valid. It's just exercising professional boundaries. Like that is a very acceptable thing that all people should be doing.
That's not quitting at all.
That's
In
quiet
any
quitting-
respect.
It's not that for me. Quiet quitting for me is it has an inherently negative connotation to it, which I feel like people who want to work against it, bad actors who want to bring it down, like this idea of exercising professional batteries, can latch onto and just be like, it's got like laziness connotations, it's got all this sort of stuff. And none of the stuff that happens when you exercise professional boundaries and you say, I am fulfilling my like fiduciary responsibilities, but not more than that. None of that is lazy. That is just a perfectly, not only reasonable, but a healthy societal thing to have in place. So I don't love the fact that it's so easily sort of like sneered at.
People will demagogue it, definitely.
Wasn't there another a competitive term that had a better vibe?
It was Act Your Wage, I believe.
Act Your Wage was one of ours.
Yeah.
But the way people have described it is work to rule. Work to rule is a tactic that's been used. It is the same as quiet quitting, and it's been used effectively for a long time. Let's call it that. Work to rule or acting your wage.
What does work to rule mean? Rule what?
I don't understand.
Or like working to the rule as in working to your job description.
I have under-researched this one. So
this is like work to a ruler?
Work to Rule has its own Wikipedia page. And why is it called that? Oh, yes, that's correct. You are working according to the rules required by your contract and strictly following the rules. Yep, that's right.
In Australia, we call those duty statements, right? Like doing your duty would be just fulfilling the dot points in your contract.
Which for a lot of people's... Yeah, okay.
No, please.
There are a lot of professions where that is not obvious, unfortunately.
That is true. I would say in the vast majority of professions is like that, actually, if we're being completely candid.
Yeah, and it is tricky because what's the TikTok? Veronica, right? Like the TikTok sketch with Veronica.
The cup lady?
Yeah. She is seemingly at a call center or something.
Or on a phone all the time.
I think it might have started there, but then it just broadened to just be a general sort of like amorphous work situation.
Right, because like I've been thinking lately about the similarities between academia and being an artist.
Go on, please.
They're a bit similar, actually. Because in both cases, you're sort of a bit working for yourself. So like I'm employed somewhere to do research, but I am also employed to like develop myself. Right?
True.
And
academically speaking, like your
speaking, like my CV. So like if I publish like things that I think are interesting and I publish a lot of papers, then like I'm doing my job for my employer. But when I go to a new job, that still benefits me. That's like building my thing. And similarly, if you get a grant...
Can I ask, is that hugely different from any professional development in any sort of line of work?
In the sense that you're sort of, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like you're a bit like a freelancer in a way.
Okay, it's a little bit more amorphous rather than like, we need you to go and do this course so you can build this specific thing for our company. It's like, go to this conference and I don't know, what you pick up is good, I guess. Like,
yeah. Like
I do feel like a lot of places and professions do that, though. They're just like, oh, okay, there's like a symposium on like blinds, so the people in our blinds industry are going to go to the symposium or whatever.
Yeah, but they're going there to like then go out to like customers and get better at like putting up blinds, whereas I feel like I'm not sure if we ever do that part.
And have affairs, obviously.
Anyway, what I wanted to say, and we're going to circle back, and Daniel's making signs, is that acting your wage sounds great and quiet quitting sounds great. Part of that, if we're going to give practical advice, is also figuring out what that is and having a frank conversation with your employer about what that is, because it might not be obvious.
True.
That's a good point.
And that's also really contingent on having a good boss who is a good communicator, which like fucking vanishingly few people are lucky enough to have. I am one of those people. I count my blessings every single day, but I know many, many humans have just really unhelpful humans in that position in their lives, and my heart goes out to them.
Yeah,
let's go quickly to Digital Word of the Year. Here with the nominees: Chief Twit, meaning Elon Musk. That's how he described himself on Twitter. Crypto Rug Pull, which is where there's a crypto scam and then the the guy with the hat disappears out of town on the monorail.
Can I ask on this one, why did they go with Crypto Rug Pull and not just Rug Pull?
I think crypto rug pull is specific to the way that scammers will start NFTs and then just disappear with the money.
Oh, no. I totally get that. And I think the thing that I like, if you are in those spaces, because I definitely descended into those spaces, not because I wanted to be part of them, but because I wanted to see and understand.
Yep.
They do not call them crypto rug pulls. They call them rug pulls, right?
Okay.
There's pump and dumps and there's rug pulls. And those.
Let's go with that.
I feel like I need to explain to our non-English listeners, because I had to read the word that Daniel and Ben are saying is rug, as in the thing you have on the floor, and pull,
Sorry.
as in
Somebody
how you
pulls
pull it. And then they're saying it very quickly, and they're saying rug pull, and it
Rug
sounds like
pull.
they're saying rugby, but it's not.
Oh, okay. I apologize. My
No, it's okay.
My Australian is showing.
I heard you speak, and I read the thing, and I was like, now I get it.
So
Okay.
yeah, to literally pull the rug out from under someone is where this comes from.
Isn't it funny how expressions start out as an entire sentence and then they just go to a 2-word phrase, like a rug
Yeah.
pull? I'm supposed to know what that is.
And how everyone is wishing me a Happy New Year
What?
They are?
instead of a Happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy
What-
New Year.
What?
Instead
I
of
don't
a Happy
understand.
New Year.
I missed it.
It's stress.
Happy
Did people
New
wish
Year.
you a Happy
Ben,
New
please,
Year?
please wish me something.
Headers, I hope you have a super happy new year.
Okay, yeah.
That was pretty even.
Yeah, that was pretty even,
Happy
yeah.
New Year.
So, like, a lot of people are wishing me a Happy New Year instead of Happy New
okay.
Year.
Oh, okay. Emphasis and syllable. Yep, got it.
Yeah.
We also had Touch Grass, which we know about.
Love it. Big
Go
fan.
ahead and touch grass. Go ahead and touch
No,
grass.
big fan of the idea. Big fan of the linguistic sort of encapsulation. Love it.
I think that was one of ours for the previous year. But the winner, dull, suffix for Wordle-like games. Yes!
I do not like this
Why not?
because it's not the DLE suffix that gets used. It's the LE. The D gets dropped all the time.
Okay,
all
Ben.
the time.
Movie.
No. Global.
Okay. But if it's
Well-
movie, it's not movie-ol, it's movie-dull. The D is... The
To be
D's
fair-
in there.
To be fair, the better one is framed anyway. Anyway. Point being.
So, Ben, there's this thing in linguistics called allomorphs.
Mhm.
Yes, please.
So, you know how in English you can do plurals by adding an S?
Yes.
Words. Sometimes you add an ES.
Wow, we are really digging deep on the linguistic tuition here. Yes, I know how S's create plurals. Yes.
But do
Yeah.
you? But do you?
But do you?
Okay.
And then what's a good example when it's ES?
Horse.
Like buses, horses, whatever.
Bus?
Yep.
Buses, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We say that ES and S and Z are all the same thing. They're just realized a bit differently in different contexts,
Okay.
right? Would you accept the same thing for dl and l?
They're allomorphs, so the same morpheme.
I'll allow it.
Okay, all right. There we are. We arrived.
So begrudgingly, but I'll allow it.
I saw that. I heard and I saw it. You were not happy.
Had to extract that D, had to extract the dull.
Okay, so we've the ul suffix, as I will think of it and refuse to think of it any other way.
Next, informal word of the year. There was the ick. Feeling gross about one's date.
Love
Gives me
that.
the ick.
Oh, hang on. Can we rewind 1 second?
Yeah.
My understanding of ick is that is absolutely not A, where it came from, or B, where it most gets used.
Yeah, I think so too.
My understanding, certainly the place I see it used the most, is people from the autism spectrum disorder community talking about the things both physical and extant that cause them significant aversion. So, like, microfiber cloths seem to be one that,
Oh yeah, I'm
autistic
with
people
them.
the world
I-
over
I-
just have the ick for.
I totally agree.
So I just
Hard.
wanted to really just get in there and say, I feel like we've first of all appropriated ick from the autism community, and B, it has such a wider connotation than just romantic dating. You can absolutely get an ick from a person, no question, but it's bigger than that. Carry on.
Cool, thank you.
There's a weird thing that's happening that I don't know if it's this show's thing to talk about, but did you guys
Whose
hear
house
that?
was that?
That was on
Not
my
me.
street. someone honking.
Damn, that was not someone. Surely that was a truck.
No. That I don't know. There's a problem in Leipzig with buckaroo parking.
Well, there's a word of the week.
Yeah. What is buckaroo parking? Is it double parking?
It's what Germans call illegal parking.
Oh,
I
like
love
wild parking. People are like parking in weird places, and the Leipzig municipality.
cowboy.
Yeah,
Buckaroo parking.
yeah.
That's so Texas.
I was reading like Leipzig news, and I've been annoyed with people park in strange places here. Like really, like at intersections, they park on the corners.
That is,
Yeah,
that's what are we living in like a post-apocalyptic hellscape? What? No, come on.
No, exactly. Anyway, so my guess is that someone was honking because someone was buckaroo parking.
We're coming back to that, by the way. Buckaroo parking is amazing.
Totally.
About the ick thing, there's a weird thing that happens if you are on TikTok and if you almost enter from anywhere and are in any of the TikToks, sooner or later, it seems like a lot of people, me and I think Ben included, will get content that are about having ADHD and or autism. And
I'm nodding.
And it firmly. Is a little bit odd because it's not something that I think I have, but it's content that is popular because sometimes it overlaps with feelings that people that don't have those things also have. So like when you feel hyperfocus or something, or when you feel you're procrastinating, but it gets framed as like when you have ADHD, and it's like, I'm not sure I have that. So it means that like this term like ick, when like people who in the autism spectrum are talking about it, it like ends up on mine and Ben's pages. And it's like, I don't know how it got there, but okay.
Look, I think we can all agree, just working purely by the numbers, it was either pilfered from gay people or black people. Probably, originally.
Yeah,
like,
good guess.
If we really had to take a stab, I think we're really well placed to feel like that's probably where it was originally appropriated from.
Or taken from black people and then queer people.
Our run sheet says black drag culture, so...
Wait. Doubleheader. No, that's for the winner, which was It's Giving X.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Description of something exuding a particular vibe or energy, and it comes from black drag culture, and it's not one that I've ever heard.
Can you give us an example from your research, Daniel?
Hedvig, please.
What do you mean?
You seem to know it.
Oh, like it's giving like big nose vibes or something. Like something is that?
Yeah, or like if I went and said like extra, you can say like it's giving newspaper boy. It's a very strange example.
So the X is just a noun. Is that it?
Yeah, or an adjective, but like usually a noun. But it's like, what's a good like
if I throw up on the rug, it's giving cat.
Yes, but like I am currently obsessed with painting things in bright colors, and I think that's giving millennial woman an existential crisis.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Gotcha. So there can be a lot of nouns.
Wow, an entire noun phrase,
right? And I have had to switch to almost entirely decaf coffee. I think that is also giving millennial woman existential crisis.
That is fascinating. Thank you. I didn't know about that one. There are two here that seem to trade on the Platyjubes template. Remember how we talked about Platyjubes for the Platinum Jubilee?
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like this is a template and I just don't know what it is. And many people have been very helpful. Kitty gave us a whole list. Not Farrakhat, but the other Kitty. But Helen on Twitter and Lord Mortis on Discord pointed me to Cosy Lives. There's a possibly fictional conversation. I can't go that low, sorry, babe, especially with the Cosy Lives and all that jazz. And the
cost of living,
says,
gotcha.
Slang of cost of living crisis.
Cost of living, thank you.
Took me a second.
Yeah,
I was struggling.
But the one that made the informal word of the year nomination was one that I'm not too keen on. Menti B, having a bit of a Menti B mental breakdown, which I feel like I want to bop that person upside the head and say, talk better about mental health issues, but those two things do seem to follow that template. So I thought I would point them out.
That reminds us that like all of these like dictionaries of the word and things, like everyone is using different ways of measuring what that is. And it feels like some of the things is like, we want to talk about a phenomena that we like and or that got a lot of attention, and not like, Daniel, when you just said that, like, you don't really love the term Menti B for a mental breakdown because maybe you feel like it trivializes or makes it smaller or something. you're speaking as a subjective person about your like judgments and opinions about it, right? And it's not obvious what this exercise of like picking a word is doing, because if it's just like picking the most unique word for this year that wasn't around much before and that popped up a lot this year and signifies something, then it should just be a numbers game.
I would also say as well that it is definitely informal. Like, it takes a very serious thing and very informalizes it. Like,
oh yeah,
if
the meant
that's
to
its
be.
category.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, people might be doing it to work through their own issues and came upon that phrase and word. So, okay, if that's the case, maybe. Let's just run through a few little scraps here. The euphemism of the year was special military operation, but I noticed also
that good.
leg booty.
What?
Please?
No, it's not the same as underbum. It's substitution for LGBT, and they might be using it for fun. They might be trying to use it to disguise what they're talking about in places where that might be illegal. LGBT becomes leg booty.
Okay.
It's like boomstick for gun on TikTok.
Yes, it's another example of Voldemorting.
And
Unalived.
Unaliving, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grape instead of rape and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Elon becoming Elno and then Elmo, rather amusingly. I won't always bring him up.
Leg booty.
Leg booty.
I thought Alphabet Mafia was like... I liked Alphabet Mafia.
That was good. That's good.
I thought that
was one of ours.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Another one of ours that didn't win the phrasal template of the year was Hits Different. That was one of ours last year, and Hits Different was good. But the one that did win the phrasal template of the year was Not X. That was ours. So, yay for us.
All the money. That has been, I've got to say that I am seeing that in many places. I'm seeing that on Twitter. I'm seeing that on TikTok. I'm seeing that in Facebook posts.
Yeah, I think we need to expand the template to make it more understandable to listeners, maybe. So if I, for example, tweet, not me eating the same food 3 days in a row because my husband's out of town.
Yeah, not me desperately trying to cross my legs on the subway because I got a giant mustard stain from the hot dog. I'm like hoovering into my disgusting maw kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's always not person doing action. That's the template.
Yeah.
Another one, the emoji of the year, the skull was the winner. Dead from laughter, dead from frustration. But check out the roster of non-winners. The melting face, love it. The saluting face.
None of these are actually showing up in the run sheet because they're so new that they're not in the
They're not on your computer? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The saluting face, the dotted line face, one of my favorites. I'm just going to vanish here into the background.
Oh, that one.
The Homer Simpson into the hedge face.
Colored boxes for Wordle results. But I think that the one that everybody was sleeping on, and I tweeted this, was the pointing finger up, which you use as a reaction to someone's comment, meaning I agree with this. I'm seeing a lot of Discord.
Look, this one is the right one. Yeah,
this.
It's this.
You can also use, there are also GIFs of people pointing or saying the word this, or you can write the word this. I would argue that those are all allomorphs.
Yes, very good. Allomoji.
Yeah.
Let's get away from the ADS word of the year. Congratulations to USSY. But there were also some recent words that our listeners suggested. Diego suggested.
Before that.
Oh, yes, please.
You asked me in previous episodes to report on the Swedish word of the year.
Yes. Hedvig, would you please report for us on the Swedish word of the year? What did you find?
Well, so Sweden has mainly one institution that issues something that's similar to word of the year, and it's called the New Word List. And it is not one word, it is several words that the Institute for Language and Ethnology, you could call it, folkminnen, like people memory, issue a list of like words that are being added. And they are a little bit mysterious, if I'm honest, about how they select them. And sometimes I disagree with the process by which they get them, but there's a bunch of lists, a bunch of words. Most of them are somehow crisis related in nature. For example, energy poverty, energifattigdom, or energy war, energikrig, or hunger stone. I think we had hunger stone on one episode.
Yeah, we did. What was it again?
in some European cities, when you have a river going through,
Yeah.
you have stones on the bank of the river. And when the river is low enough, there can be certain stones that become visible and that have inscriptions that are very old that say, if you can see
Be
this
like,
shit.
well, fucking watch out, because a bunch of people died when this river was this low.
Yeah, like, if the river is this low, it's not a good time, man. And that's very... I looked through the list and I was trying to find one that wasn't depressing. And I have... I think I have two for you. One of them is epadunk. You can try and...
Badunk? Epadunk?
Epadunk. It's a fun word
am
to
I going
say.
okay? Epadunk?
Epadunk.
It sounds very onomatopoeic. Is it throwing a stone into a pond? Like you go,
No.
badunk.
So it's a compound, if that helps.
Okay.
So epa and dunk.
Neither of us speak Swedish. I'm not getting anywhere near this definition.
Well, let's go with dunk. It's a dunk tank, naturally. When you...
I don't know what a
When you-
dunk tank is.
Is it
Dump somebody in
self-dunking?
water.
Like when you dunk on yourself?
Okay, I'm just going to put you out of your misery. So none of these
Okay,
things.
fair
So
enough. That's good. I was pleased.
pleased.
dunka dunka is an old term for dance music.
Okay, like doof doof music.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yep.
Epa is a kind of vehicle that is similar to a car, but it's not a car, and you can drive already when you're 16.
Okay.
It's like in between a car and a moped, I'd say.
Okay.
And
Wow.
if you screw with it a bit and trim it a bit, it's a lot like a car. So
Okay.
if you live in a rural area and you want to drive because you want to have a life and see your friends and do stuff, you are probably going to get an EPA license.
Mm-hmm.
And epadunk is a music genre.
Right.
Wow,
okay. So it's the
okay.
kind of doof doof music that comes out of cars that 16-year-olds drive.
Yes, and it is.
Okay.
It's. I think if you can imagine, like, it's similar to like it has connotations of like bogan.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, okay.
You did not need to clarify that for me. As soon as you said young rural men in cars music, I'm there. Like, I'm right there with you.
I mean, doof has the same connotations for
Exactly.
Hmm.
It says a guy who is like a devout EDM fan.
Yeah, and that one I thought was like pretty cute. Most of the other ones are somehow crisis related. There's one that is not crisis related that is just a word in English, so Barbiecore,
me. Oh, yeah, cool.
Cool.
Yep.
which is a visual aesthetic inspired by Barbies, and Barbie is sort of like the same as like nerdcore, normcore, gothcore,
Isn't-
blah blah blah.
Can I ask a potentially
Yes.
rude question?
Uh-huh.
From a pop cultural perspective,
Yep.
Swedes as an export pop culturally to the world, have
Yeah.
you not all been Barbie core like exemplars since like the late 70s? Like if I go onto Google image search right now and type in Swedish woman, will my image results not 100% conform with Barbie core? Like there's just going to be
No, it won't.
beautifully made up blonde.
What you're
doing it
thinking
right.
of is like there's an American movie, I think it's Dumb Dumber, where they get stranded somewhere and like a bus of like Swedish women pick them up.
I am
and
sorry.
they're all like
I am so right and you were so wrong.
No.
You did it,
No.
didn't you?
Wait. It depends. Okay, sorry. When you say Barbie, I think of like silicone boobs, platinum blonde, and like bright pink clothing.
Okay. Except for the pink clothing, if you put light blue and yellow clothing in its place, that is certainly the image that it's like giving.
But it's got to be
but
pink.
I don't
It
know.
can't
I
be-
don't know how to explain. Like that is what, as a Swedish woman living abroad, I can tell you that is what people think Swedish women look like, and it's not
Yes.
what Swedish women look like.
100%.
Which is
That's
why you
all
talked
I was
about
talking
export.
about. Yeah.
But it is-
completely
it
in the same
is-
way that people go, "Oh, Swedish, oh, dorky, dorky, dorky."
What do you call? How do I explain? We don't export the Swedish chef. You guys made that up. Like
Yeah,
you're
exactly. Like,
no. So we're not like. I feel like export is like something we're trying to export.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about like
absolutely right.
extorting, like pulling.
So this is the version of this is Australians liking Foster's beer, right?
Yes, exactly. Which you don't.
Precisely,
does.
0 Australians drink or enjoy that beer, and yet the entire world thinks of it as the quintessential Australian beer that everyone's drinking. That's all I was saying, right?
Exactly,
Is that, like,
exactly.
it's hilarious that this has risen to prominence when, to an outsider perspective, that was the main thing people would associate with Sweden.
And it's just not like, we're more like classic continental European, like wearing black, like trying to look like elegant and suave and Parisian. It's like Swedish
I've
fashion.
watched my share of Scandi Noir. I know
Yeah.
what you guys look like. You are like beautiful but stern 45-year-old women who will not rest until you find the murderer.
That is all of us. You're correct. We're all one 45-year-old woman.
Even the men.
Chic but capable, like
Chic.
beautiful but
There we go. That's the aesthetic ideal. Barbiecore is not necessarily chic.
Okay. Fair enough. Sorry, we have
Sorry.
digressed so far.
Anyway,
I'm
there
sorry,
were lots
Daniel.
of words. I'm going to give you Epadunk and Barbiecore.
Okay.
Thank you. What would you have chosen for if you were on the board for your Swedish word of the year? Perhaps I'm springing this on you.
You are.
You just want to say Epadunk because it's so fun to say, don't you?
Yeah, I think Epadunk is really fun.
Okay. Hey, sometimes the fun, captivates you, and that's what we want. Thank you, Hedvig, for your report. There were a couple of words that sort of slipped under the wire. Diego suggested this one, sudden Russian death syndrome.
Ooh, now that could mean two things, right? That could be the euphemism Russians use to describe why a whole bunch of the young men from their country are no longer alive. Like, I could
Not that.
absolutely see that being like a really caustic sort of thing that Russians would say to each other. Be like, oh, where's, like, Ivan? Oh, well, he
Sudden
succumbed
Russian
to
death
sudden
syndrome.
Russian death syndrome. Instead
It's
of
not
like,
that. What else could it be?
It could be the opposite as well. It could be being killed by a Russian.
Oh,
No.
yeah. Oh,
Secretly not. Secretly not.
Could it be the thing that happens to Vladimir Putin?
It could be the thing that happens to Vladimir Putin's former supporters.
Oh,
Yeah, it's,
okay. Either way,
Novichok.
right?
It refers to the way that about 20 to 25 Russian oligarchs have met their demise strangely in suspicious
Yeah.
circumstances. Yeah.
Right.
Like falling out of buildings and so on.
You gotta watch, man. Look, if history has taught us anything, you gotta watch using that as like a solution to your problems because it seems to very reliably end up happening to you.
Did you know
It's
that
true.
one of the assassin's attempt on Navalny, who's a Putin critic, so a common thing they've tried to use is Novichok, which is a particular toxin. At one point, they put it in his underwear.
Hey, man, if it's good enough to try and kill like Queen Elizabeth, poisoning clothes, like some things never go out of fashion.
Just another reason to go commando. There are some people who reckon that they may not all be getting killed. They may have killed themselves. They are facing sanctions. They're losing their money. It is possible for some people to die by suicide under those circumstances. But by golly, doesn't it look suspicious?
I think given the geopolitical reality that exists in the world right now, it is definitely not possible to say that categorically didn't happen. It's just...
Did we learn anything from the words of the year this year? Were there any larger lessons?
I think we learned that picking word of the year is a very subjective exercise, and if people are clear, I think we learned that Hedvig's and Ben's favorite category is most likely to succeed.
Yes, definitely. That should be the word of the year category.
Yeah.
Like, what will people be saying 15, 20, 50 years from now?
Yeah.
I reckon, to be honest, I wonder if, by that logic, I'm going to put my hand in the air here. I'm going to do a real, like, Hail Mary call. I reckon of all of the words...
Yes.
Nepo Baby will be around in 50 years.
Oh, okay. Nepo Baby, I think you're probably right. I think the one that we're still going to see...
Now, while Daniel
looking
thinks,
over
I'll
my
justify my answer simply because, unlike all the other things, I think Nepo Baby describes an aspect of humanity that is just so fundamental to us that it won't stop being a thing. And so we won't stop having reasons to use that as like an insult and like a pull down on people.
Counter argument.
I'll cede the floor.
It has been a thing for thousands of years.
Mm.
And this word is not doing a better job than any other word.
What are you, a linguist or something? Jeez, get off my back.
I'm just not seeing any long-termers here. I'm just not. Not like app. Remember app?
Yeah, okay. Well, okay.
Where are the apps of today?
Think that its giving is actually a pretty... I would bet a lot of money on its giving.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
I guess we will, and we'll be reporting on all the words we can.
Check in 50 years with you, Hedvig, and Daniel, before you die, if you could just, let us know.
I will. Hey, Ben, ask me what I'm doing.
Hey, Daniel. What you doing?
I'm addressing envelopes.
Why are you doing that, Daniel? Such an archaic form of communication.
Because I'm sending our special yearly mail out to every last one of our patrons.
Get right out of town.
Yep, it's got our special designs that we've made, so if you are a patron, make sure your physical address is right with Patreon. I was going to say sorry for not getting these out by Christmas, but actually, you know what? I'm glad that we wait until after the Word of the Year vote, because I always get some inspiration from it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the case this time with our Put Your Whole Linguacy Into It sticker. Our design. I expect to see it on chests all over the world. But I'd just like to say thank you for being a patron. We enjoy seeing you on Discord. And if you're listening to this later and you're not a patron, why don't you get on? There's patreon.com/becauselangpod. You'll get all kinds of goodies. Thanks for supporting the show, everybody.
We really appreciate it.
Let's get to that mailbag. We got time for a couple of questions.
Let's pull them out of the Mailbagussy.
Thank you. Ooh, sounds like a title.
I had just recovered from linguacy.
Yeah. Sorry.
Matthias via email, hello@becauselanguage.com, says, "Hi Daniel and the team." That's you too. Whenever I see lists of names in alphabetical order, like lists of popular baby names or class lists, lists of patrons at the end of YouTube videos, etc., there's always a bias toward names starting with a letter from the first half of the alphabet, A through M. Is it M? Yes. A through N. Matthias says N, but actually the first 13 letters are A through M.
For English boring alphabets, yeah.
Correct. Thank you. Like, if the alphabet was put into random order, I'd expect half the names to start with a letter from the first half of the alphabet, but instead it seems like it's always about 2/3 of the names that start with a letter between A and N. I've noticed this in both English given names, Danish given names, and in online nicknames that people choose for themselves. Am I just imagining things, or is this something that has been studied previously? Did humans arrange the alphabet so that the most popular letters are first, or did the first letters in the alphabet become more popular because they were in the beginning of the alphabet? Does this happen in other languages and cultures with other scripts? Also, why are almost all the vowels at the start of the alphabet?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Okay.
There's a lot here.
Okay. I have theories. Wait. Ben has theories.
Wait.
Ben, go first.
Before I even want to get into theories, I'm not even getting that far yet. Can we just acknowledge that Matthias has one awesome stoned question of the fucking decade award? Every aspect of this question is god tier linguistic genius. As the question kept going, I was just I had mind blow after mind blow revelation where I was oh my god, does it? What? How did we arrange the alphabet? So Matthias, I salute you, sir. Now let's try and answer the many different ideas that you brought up in your question.
Okay, first thing, is this really happening?
I think it might be happening, and I have a theory for why.
I'm just going to trust Matthias. If he has had this level of insight into these things, I'm just going to assume his base knowledge is correct.
Well, I didn't trust Matthias, so I decided to check it out. I grabbed the top 200 baby names from this year, boys and girls. 200 names. Take a guess. What number do we see the first N at? You'd expect it to be at 101. Where was it really?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to say 140-ish.
Hedvig?
Is this American babies?
It's not.
Is it boys and girls mixed?
It's English-speaking babies. I mixed the names. Yes.
Okay, because I think there are more N's in the boys. Like they have like Nicholas and shit. Yeah.
I decided to mix them up because it's,
Yeah, fair enough. 60?
Ooh, you're
What, the
going
first
in the
N?
opposite. You're going in the opposite direction. So you're
Okay.
saying there's
I
vastly
don't know,
more.
I just want to... Gotta do something interesting, hey.
Okay.
It was Nicholas at number 150.
Oh, so Matthias is like 100% on the money here. Like he even got the ratio right.
Well, what about 1920s New South Wales? First name.
Because that's a
Why
corpus
not?
you have access
It was
to.
available. Nancy at 142. Top 100 cities in the world by population. Top 100. Nairobi at 62.
Wow.
So this is happening.
So
on the three-
Matthias is absolutely hit on an extant phenomena. Like this is
Okay,
definitely a thing.
okay.
What's going on? Hedvig, your hypothesis, please.
Okay, so first of all, alphabets are a thing in some languages, and they mean that you have one character that roughly represents one language sound. There's some like
some slop.
SH is something and NG is something and blah blah blah. But generally one character, roughly one sound, and then you get things like how English people spell like, I don't know, cough and
Mhm.
Let's just leave GH, please.
We know
we don't have the time.
though
It's a rough guide.
Fuck you guys. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay, we're
I
over
agree
that
with you.
bit.
Fuck us. Like that's just
And
the
then
worst.
we get like, okay, the particular alphabet that we use in most European languages starts with A, and it goes A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. And it, as far as I know, is usually traced back to like Phoenician. So like before Latin and Greek, there's something called Phoenician writing, and it's all around the Mediterranean, East Mediterranean. But as far as I know, you keep adding letters as you need them for a while.
Oh.
So I think that
Okay.
you start with the more common sounds in some sort of order that might have to do with like the physics of it, like how many lines you're doing. Because I think also, if you think about it, they get more complicated the further you go a bit.
A bit. Chinese script, especially by design, that their so-called alphabetic order is based on stroke numbers and things like that.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if the same is, because that's definitely true for numbers.
Yep.
It's true. Yes, it's true for numbers. It's true for letters as well. For example, in the English alphabet and the Roman alphabet, Y and Z just came later. And so they had to go to the end.
Okay.
So if that's true, then I think that there are more common sounds at the beginning of the alphabet. And therefore, what Matthias observed just falls out of that.
So, I mean, and Matthias basically said that, right? Like, he's like, is it just a case of like, we used the ones we were using, we started with, and then as we went on, they got rarer and rarer?
There is something else at work, though. I think that might be part of it. The order of the alphabet is the way it is because we needed those sounds first. In some cases, there's been some slop, but there's something else going on.
May I guess?
Yes.
Is this a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm essentially going to posit that this is a phone book phenomenon, for lack of a better phrase.
You mean that people are like, I've given birth to a child, I'm going to choose a name that is earlier in the alphabet because I think it'll benefit them more.
I'm going to say, in terms of big data over many years, yes. Like little tendencies in one way or another have resulted in that.
Yeah.
There is a name for this effect. It is called the primacy or primacy effect. We remember the first items on a list better. We remember the last ones pretty well too, but the ones in the middle is like blah. And in fact, there's been a 2019 study from Jeffrey R. Stevens and Juan F. Duke, published in Psychonomic Bulletin and Review, where they found that surnames earlier in the alphabet were cited more often than those later in the alphabet when journals ordered citations alphabetically compared with chronologically or numerically.
I can't remember where I saw it, but I did see a journal article that was just like the unfair advantage conferred to alphabetically earlier names, and it was written by like a Ziegler or a Zana or something. I just thought it was so funny.
I can believe that.
This actually reminds me, though, of Benford's law as well, and that is Benford's law points out that if you have a list of numbers of populations of cities or phone numbers or whatever, there'll be more ones at the top. There'll be more that start with 1, either 1,000 or 100 or 10 or a billion or whatever. So Benford's law.
Oh, okay.
There is just this weird, even in stats, it's not even people choosing. It's just this weird feature that ones, there's a lot of them.
Hedvig is pulling a face right now that I just have to describe to the audience. I have very rarely seen her unhappy with an answer the way I am seeing her unhappy with this answer. She looks like a video, and I say this with so much love in my heart, Headers, I promise. You were pulling a face just then like when people give dogs lemon. like an animal that has been given a treat and then has just gone.
I was trying really hard in my brain to
accept this answer.
And also, like, just to think about numbers and be like, oh, okay, so what he was saying that was, like, numbers starting with 1, not, like, large numbers, but numbers starting with 1. So, like, 1,000,000, 1,110 are all starting with 1, but they're very different quantities. And that they would occur more at the top instead of, like...
They would occur more often than numbers beginning with 2 or 3.
Is Benford's law also the thing that governs street name popularity? So, like, there's the most common, like, name in America, I believe, is probably Main Street, but then the second most common is First Street. The third most common is Second Street. The third most common is Third Street.
You're never going to have a Third Street without a First Street.
What do you have? You have streets named First Street?
Yeah, like First Avenue and stuff.
Yeah, I grew up on Fifth Street.
Oh,
like
that's just great American...
No one. But the phenomena holds true, right? Like, yes, there are going to be a lot of First Avenues, for example, but there's probably not going to be anywhere near as many 11th Avenues.
Right.
But that's like people naming things. How many people live in a city is not...
Yeah, but Hedvig, when we name babies, that's people naming things.
No. Daniel said the 100 top most populous cities in the world.
Yeah. People name those too.
Wait, you said their name? I thought it was the population number.
No, hang on. We're talking about the primacy effect, which is words, but then I switched over to Benford's law, which is about numbers.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with people choosing anything.
No, that's right.
Like,
and it's just...
No one chooses how many people are born in a place.
Nope. It's just one of those things where if you've got... If you got one thing and then 2 things and then 10 things, now it's all ones, right? 11 things, 12 things, those all start with 1.
Right.
You might get to 20s, you might get to 30s, and they'll show up as well, but then you're into the hundreds, and then it's all hundreds for a while, so that's ones. So
yeah, but
there's going to be
hundreds and then there's 200s for a while.
And then it goes on, and you might get to those, you might get up to 500, but then you might get up to 1,000, and then it's thousands for a while.
There you go.
So
got you one star.
You won't suddenly jump into the 2000s without getting into the thousands.
So the answer to Matthias's question, though, is essentially the primacy effect.
That's what I think. That's my answer.
Okay.
It's just so unhappy with that.
Why are we unhappy with this answer? How can I help you?
Still thinking about the numbers. I'm going to call my mathematician husband later and talk about the numbers.
Just let go of the numbers.
Shit about people. No, I'm not. The shit about like people naming like their daughters Amelia and whatever. Like, fine, whatever, fine. Okay, and like cities in the New World being like, oh yeah, First Street, Second Street, whatever. Humans do crazy stuff.
But it's population too.
I like that your idea of crazy is just the absolutely most boring, logical way to do a thing.
It is, but it is bonkers. Benford's law, I don't know of a good explanation for it. We talked about it with Caleb Everett on the episode, the talk episode, Numbers, the Making of Us. So, it's just this weird artifact.
Here's a fun game. I genuinely think you should do this, because I just feel like this will be so fun for me in particular. But I assume if I enjoy it, other people will enjoy it too. Can you just record you sitting down with Steve at like your kitchen table with like 2 microphones or whatever, or 1 bluegrasser, I don't care.
Yes, please.
And just being like, Steve, can you please explain Benford's law to me?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean...
And he'll be like, oh, Benford's law, yeah.
I talk to him about math a lot, and it's good times. But it is
awesome.
like painful
I wanna hear
times.
If you would allow us to sit in.
Yeah. Let us be
I'll ask
oral
if he wants
fly
to do that.
on the wall for that particular conversation.
That's coming up on our Discord. Thanks, Matthias. Okay, Ignacio has a question about either, or is it either? Ignacio says, random question. Do people usually have a consistent way of saying neither or either, or neither or either? I can't figure out what I say. I know I use both long and short E sound, and I can't even really figure out if there's a pattern that has to do with surrounding words, stress, emphasis, place in sentence, etc. It just seems random. But it's not that they both sound normal to me all the time. Some situations make me use one sound or the other, and the alternative doesn't seem to sound right. But I'm not consistent from what I can tell. What do you think?
I just subscribe to buckaroo usage on this one.
Oh, really? Free variation. This is what's called free variation.
I don't think I have any rules or rhyme or anything. It's just like whatever little neurons are firing through Ben's teeny little brain at that moment is what he says.
That's good that you feel that way, because you make for a good subject.
I've got to be honest, guys. Like, whenever someone says, like, you'd be a great research candidate, my immediate brain is like, oh, no.
I mean, that is... linguists famously do this to people around them a lot, and I'm sorry.
Okay,
and you're around us a lot.
And you're around us a lot, so...
Like, free variation is what we call things we haven't figured out yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. So I decided I was going to try to figure it out. You know our transcripts?
Oh, yeah.
You know how it's got every single word that we say in there?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've got a really interesting data set.
Oh my god, can we do like, what is the most common word Ben says? What's the most common word Hedwig says? Oh my god!
The transcripts are made by the wonderful people at Speech Docs, and I found every instance of either and neither as said by Ben. And then I hunted them down in the audio files, and I have just sent them to you.
How much time do you have?
Too much.
So-
This time you can spend on TikTok.
This
Oh my
is
God.
every instance of you saying either, either, neither, or neither. Go.
Either, 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 neither, 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 either, neither, either, 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 either.
So,
That is so funny.
That's fucking surreal.
That is so good. And it's mostly either.
now in our Discord, I am also pasting what you said. At the top, you've got either, and then a little farther down, you've got either, and all the sentences that contain those. Then there's neither and neither. I hope that's clear.
It is. I love this.
And I'm posting these on our the episode page for this episode. That's becauselanguage.com.
Oh, this is brilliant. I forgive any love you've ever shown for Elon Musk.
There is none. There is none. I'm a Tesla guy who doesn't like Elon.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay, wow.
Okay, tell me.
I know this
give
is
me
a lot to
the...
look
So I
at.
can't be bothered reading all of this, but just going from what I heard, there was a fair amount of like back and forth to my ear. Like
It was
I
the main-
heard,
Yeah.
Oh, and what I really loved, I'm going to send you this now. There was a sentence. I actually found a sentence where you alternated either and either. Here that is.
Oh my god.
In the
yes.
same sentence.
you know how when you walk into a home for the first time of someone either you know well or perhaps you don't know well, but either way, if it's the first time into that space. I gotta say, just based on that sentence alone, my tiny little neurons firing explanation seems to hold up. Like it's just this weird
The second one
mishmash.
was either way.
Either
And
way.
So you know
Okay.
your brain is like, I'm on my way to way. So I go,
Let's start there.
Maybe.
So now we pour through the data, and I see that there are the expression either way exists in both the either and the either camp.
fuck! Ah!
That's right, bitches. I'm just a dice man. Every time I use a word, I'm just rocka-docka-docka.
People complain about me, but like, fuck yes.
All right.
I am chaotic neutral. That is my alignment.
Is it possible that, so we have either way, they both appear in the list, but there may be a slight tendency, I only have a few instances here. I notice also, as far as the end of the sentence, you're just as likely to end a sentence with either as you are with either. There's I don't either. I didn't know that was the case either. But then there's also, there's no fuzziness about what people would be talking about either. So maybe that one was a fluke. I don't know.
Look, what can I say? Some people follow the rules and some people are just buckaroos.
Can I say, I have some theories about some patterns, but I would like to open up that if you are a linguistics teacher and you have some students who are taking a social linguistics course and you're looking for a term project for their term paper, then all the transcripts are there. Our material is already transcribed. The audio's there.
Use me. Use me, my delightful... And look, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to use the words in this episode right now so they have to hear this bit. Either use me or don't use me. Neither way, I don't care.
Oh my God.
This is a genuine gap, I think, because the literature on either and neither are kind of scanty. There was the linguist Louise Pound. She wrote about it in the journal American Speech in 1932.
1932. See?
She doesn't discuss how this varies within the same individual, but instead she writes about how Americans say either and British people say either. Actually, this is really fun. She quotes W.D. Whitney from 1874, who didn't like either. Check this out. Whitney says, "Whatever actual foundation either may have in the native usage of any part of the English-speaking people, it has spread in recent times far beyond that foundation by a kind of reasonless and senseless infection, which can only be condemned and ought to be stoutly opposed and put down."
Oh my God.
I know.
This man would not have enjoyed me.
There really isn't that much going on here, but I do notice this. I will drop a crumb that in my goings through this data. Take a look at neither and neither. Ben says, "No, neither do I. No, neither can I." Then he says, "Neither of you."
Yeah.
And then he says, "English is neither in Australia." Like, we're talking about official languages. English is neither in Australia, correct?
Yeah.
I'm noticing that there's a vowel at the beginning of the next word for neither, and there's a consonant at the beginning of the next word for neither. And it doesn't hold all the time.
That's a data set of 2 as well. Like, that's pretty...
But then I went back to either and either, and it holds pretty well. I mean, either way, it can go either way. But "wa" is a bit of a semi-vowel. So, and there's also "ya." What was the one? Can either you do this. So, but what I see is, here's the either, right? I don't say either of those phrases. Can either of you. A weird lumpy shape that tails off toward either end. It's got nothing to do with either elections. So it's vowel, 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 vowel.
Okay.
That's just a
You
possibility.
just ruined the term paper for everyone, Daniel. Good one.
No. It's a suggestion for a theory based on a few examples of one weird Australian guy. Like,
It's a conjecture.
do more things. Yeah.
No, it begins and ends with me.
Call it Daniel's suspicion.
Honestly, and I'll put in a bonus, or maybe a not bonus, but like, if someone is a linguistics teacher, like, it's fairly easy to get the podcast MP3 or WAV files or whatever. And
piece of cake.
Fuck it, I'll volunteer me and Daniel as like co-supervisors.
I've already done the work, so it's there for you.
Yeah.
I just love that we are all 3 of us the kind of people who are so on board with like fair and free usage that we're just like, steal it all, use it, my pretty ones, use it well.
I mean, I love podcasts for like just a fucking free RSS link. Like, it's so beautiful.
Yep.
So beautiful.
If I wanted to make money, do you know what I would do? I would play on people's fears and insecurities. I would say, I can help you with my plan to speak better so that you can find love and acceptance.
Yeah. That would be a good way to make good money for sure.
I'd like do accent stuff. Oh my gosh, it would be so unethical. Anyway, I'm putting that in your hands. Sorry if that was a little hard to listen to. It'll make more sense with the supporting materials. And once again, those materials will be on our website, becauselanguage.com. We have time for some comments. Do you want to do the boomers one?
Ben's in trouble.
This one comes to us from Lawrence via email. I was encouraged by the letter writer who raised the issue of ageism on the show. I have heard it too. Apparently we're a bit ageist. I was disturbed by the response. Can we summarize the response?
Basically, someone called me specifically, I think, out on ageism for like having a massive go at boomers time and time again. And I doubled and then tripled down on why I'm not particularly nice or forgiving of people in that particular age bracket, which is a completely fair encapsulation of my response. I do not disagree with how they sort of characterized how I responded to the criticism. It's true. I did respond that way.
Lauren says, I was disturbed by the response and I became more disturbed as it turned into a hate-filled rant from Ben. He doubled and tripled down. He seems to base it on a notion of collective guilt based on demographics and actually wishing death on older people. Perhaps hyperbole, but he seemed dead serious. Aren't we trying to get away from that kind of thinking? I don't think it makes the world a better place. I don't think this is telling it like it is. This is not fighting against reductive thinking. This is indulging in it. So, obviously, we are, as a show, against anyone dying for any reason ever, ever, ever.
True.
But there's a couple of threads here. I think one is, what I was saying at the time was, there are lots of awesome boomers. I give talks to boomers who are trying their best and blah, blah, blah. We've got to give them props. Mm-hmm. Ben's response has been something like, if I could put words in your mouth, Ben, generationally, sure. This is the generation that destroyed the housing market, that destroyed the job market. Me personally, if you go to my Twitter bio right now, you will see that my profile pic is that graph of how worker productivity has climbed, but wages have stagnated for the past 40 years. And that is a situation that boomers have presided over. And then, on top of that, they have continually traduced millennials for being lazy, superficial, blah, 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 for destroying avocado toast or whatever. And even though there are lots of boomers who, hashtag not all boomers, do that, it's not the kind of thing that millennials are going to forget easily. So,
yeah, I think there's a bit of that going on, and I'm sure Lawrence probably wants to hear from me more than anyone, because it was me that Lawrence, who I'm assuming is going to be male. Lawrence, he.
Fair.
What do we think?
Lawrence is usually.
Is that a safe assumption? No, Lawrence could be female.
It's a name typically ascribed to men.
Anyway, I'll keep it neutral. I'm sure Lawrence would probably want to hear my response to his criticism of me, their criticism of me. I guess what I would say is I probably did go straight into like hyperbole for the sake of like a bit of humor and a bit of that. But if you're looking for me to sort of wind back my general position, you're probably not going to find it, because in the same way that I just categorically reject and don't ascribe to the not all suffix of any kind, right? Like I find that a completely illegitimate form of discourse, like not like hashtag not all white people, hashtag not all men, hashtag not all boomers, blah, 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 blah. If you are, through the lottery of birth, a part of a privileged class, right, across one of your intersections of privilege, of which I am in nearly every conceivable intersection of my identity, right? Male, cis, white, now like sort of vaguely middle-aged, blah, 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 blah. If someone is criticizing white people or men or anything like that, the least helpful and relevant thing you can do as a member of that subset is to say, hang on a second, not all, insert whichever defense you want to put in here. Lawrence, I fully accept that you probably feel really upset with the nasty shit that I said about boomers, and I feel bad that you had a negative experience based on the things that I said. I will continue to criticize white people and boomers and men and other people who exist in positions of power and continue to abuse those positions, which, I'm sorry, mate, most boomers still do, and most white people still do, and most men still do. And if you're looking for sort of me to go, oh, you know what, like, you're right, like, I it was unfair of me to engage in, like, absolutist thinking about your segment of society, boomers, or, you know, transpose that into any of the other ones, white people, men, so on and so forth. No, I'm not gonna. Sorry. Like, if you want that to be something that happens from me on this show, unfortunately, you're going to be pretty disappointed. If that leaves you feeling like I'm not being the best version of myself, or I'm not engaging in the fully most sort of high-minded and educational discourse I can possibly engage in, you are fully free to think that, and you are fully free to think that I'm just not a very good person. That is absolutely your prerogative. I do not mind. All good.
I think there's maybe a conflation possibly happening between... So at one point, this letter writer said, aren't we trying to get away from that reductionist thinking? And I don't know personally if I am, actually, because I think that there are meaningful things in patterns and generalizations, and there are going to be outliers. And the reason I support Ben in this is because I think that for all the groups that he mentioned, it's a fair generalization. Like, it is true of enough members of that category that it is meaningful to talk about it. Whereas if we say something that is... If I can jump in here
really quick. Sorry. Just because I'm very confident that Lawrence's response to that would be, well, why shouldn't I do that about things that aren't privileged classes? Like, we know that it's wrong to do that about Black people or Indigenous people or poor people or disabled people or gay people or so on and so forth, right? To that, I would say, absolutely. It is wrong to do it to all of those things. The only groups of people that I would say that I engage in reductionist thinking over are people who exist in positions of unquestioned power. And if Lawrence is sitting here going, well, hang on, but like being old isn't necessarily like powerful, I would say, generationally, I have to disagree. Like boomers are absolutely the most powerful generation, and from a generational perspective, hold all the cards, just as white people do in a racial spectrum, just as men do in a gender spectrum, just as, like straight people do in a sexuality spectrum. Being a member of a privileged class means you're going to have to cop a lot of licks. That's my philosophy. And you just have to take them with grace. If you don't accept that, that's fine. You totally don't have to agree with me, but you are not probably going to hear me being very recalcitrant about offering out those licks for members of those protective classes. Sorry, not protective, privileged classes.
No, exactly. And whenever people say that, like, oh, but then why can't I make fun of a generalizing pattern I've found of one of these other groups? It's like, yeah, but you know the difference between those two groups. Like, you just said on one hand, on the other, which means you know that there is a difference between the groups. Like, you're aware of something. Like, we can use that information. Like, you have some knowledge. But also, like, that the point about, like, it's not an entirely untrue generalization, even if it's not true for all members of the category. Sometimes when, like, I don't know, you don't, Ben, say that, like, oh, I don't like boomers because they always buckaroo park. Like, I don't know if that's true. Like, I'm not sure that's true.
And you know what?
Right?
I've been just really sort of making sure I don't do, which is like a real strong impulse in me. And I think it's probably an impulse in a lot of people, is like, I immediately wanted to start talking about like the members of that generation that I'm like really good friends with and have great relationships with and all that kind of stuff.
Doesn't matter.
And
doesn't matter.
Like, it doesn't, it's not at all relevant to this, I don't think.
Yeah.
I genuinely am bummed that one of our listeners has heard a thing that I've said and they've felt like real shit about it. I don't like that feeling. I don't like the idea. Like, it's so easy when you do a podcast, especially when it's a podcast where three people sit in like various rooms of their house and like talk shit to each other. It's so easy to like go on a bit of a rant and sort of lose your way. And I definitely invite people offering me feedback on all of the things that I say, which is why we're talking about this, right? Like, I'm super happy to hear what people think about the things that I have to say. This one, I think, unfortunately, it's just a bummer that I think Lawrence probably isn't going to like me and the things that I think and the things that I say very much. And that sucks. And it's not a great thing. And I'm certainly not ever going to be the person who revels in like fucking people off. Like, I'm not sitting here being like, yeah, I got the fucking Lawrences of the world with their knickers in a twist. Oh, aren't I great? Like, It does not. None of the reward centers of my brain are like firing off right now. It still feels kind of yucky in my tum-tum. But it doesn't mean that I'm probably going to change very much in the way that Lawrence would want. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
It's an old conflict, isn't it? We exist as members of a generation, but we experience life individually. And so there is this thing for me to say, when someone criticizes white people, it's like, hey, I'm one of the good ones. I've really worked hard to, uncover my prejudices and try to, well, you know what? Maybe I haven't fucking done enough.
Absolutely. Like, for the longest time, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm one of the good ones. And then...
Or even if you have, like, who cares?
Turns out, like, maybe I'm not.
Okay, how about this? This? White people, not enough of us have done enough to change things.
Clearly not. And even if in a situation you think that you are, that doesn't entitle you to other people that they cannot criticize that group. Like even in those cases, it doesn't make sense. You can just be quiet and smile and like sit back.
Learn from this, and take your call outs well and say, you know what, I'm going to have the intellectual humility to say.
Which Lawrence would argue I'm absolutely not doing right now, I'm sure. Like, I'm not taking my criticism well.
I think you are.
Hope that Lawrence feels like I have spent the time and the energy to like map out what they think about what I said and to like hear it and to understand it. Unfortunately, at the end of that, my sort of position is like, sorry, mate, I don't agree.
Thank you for that. I appreciate hearing that, and it was cleansing.
I hope you still listen, Lawrence. Like, I hope you still listen, and maybe you just fucking hate my bits, but you really enjoy Daniel and
Or like, I like Ben, but not when he starts talking about X, which is how I feel about a lot of people.
I mean, I want to be Ben, so I don't think this is going to go well.
Oh, shit. What? No one should want that. That is definitely a suspect.
You
goal.
are a great role model.
Daniel, don't you dare allow that to make it into the show.
I'm going to use that sentence as our clip.
Authentically dangerous information to have in the world.
That goes on the promo. Pontus on our YouTube channel comments about the word spicy, because Hedvig and I talked about spicy cough, especially.
Fun. Spicy's great.
The most famous one is perhaps Spicy Accountant.
Well, I don't know about the most famous, but certainly the most recently big.
Okay. The meme is that sex workers often claim they are accountants, and the actual accountants were like, I'm actually an accountant. And from there, we started getting spicy accountants, as in sex workers, which I didn't know, and that's a great word of the week. Thanks, Pontus.
I think it's partially from this comedy music song saying, if you don't want to tell people what you do, say you're an accountant. No one ever asks an accountant what to do. And it's like a funny beat.
It's just like, it is a conversation ending statement.
Yeah. No one's going to ask you follow-up questions. I actually do, because I kind of like...
do as well. I'm
like, okay, what do you do every day? What kind of accountancy do you do? What program do you... I don't know. I'm just so curious. I ask hairdressers a bunch of shit as well. There's another one, the euphemism that doesn't involve spicy, but for sex workers, I've noticed on TikTok, I don't know why, but people say, my job is to offer people side quests.
Oh, that's completely new to me. I'm not on that side of TikTok yet.
Yeah. It took me a really long time to get, because I got all these videos of people looking, and I kept watching them because I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't...
That is interesting.
Get it. So, like, and
it seems like a very niche nexus of both sex working and video game enjoying.
That's why I was so confused, because it was coming up in my, like, gamer feed, and I was like, this woman is, like, raising her eyebrows and being like, so I work with giving people side quests. And I was like, okay. What is that? Daniel, if you ever go into TikTok, a problem is like people sometimes make intentionally confusing videos so that you keep watching.
Yeah. So there's a whole gaming the algorithm thing that happens that can be really and then the really fun thing is there's like a cottage industry of creators who like subvert that, which I really like. So I'm subscribed to a bunch of people who like a video will start and it'll go for about like 5 seconds where you establish whatever the like hook or bait of the video is. And then it'll just cut to someone being like, it was strep throat that went too far and then they lost their fingers. Like, it's just like, it cuts straight to the end of Like it takes a minute's worth of watching and possibly like a part 2 video and a part 3 video, and they cut all of that out and they put it into like 5 seconds of
And
explanation.
like, here are the 5 celebrities they're gonna list. Blah blah blah.
And
blah, blah.
I'll be like, leg booty?
It's the opposite of clickbait.
Thanks to everybody who asked questions. Thanks to Dustin of Sandman Stories, who still recommends us to loads and loads of people. Thanks to the team at Speech Docs, who transcribes all the words or...
all of the neithers and the neithers and the eithers and the eithers.
Yeah, but they don't split them up into category. That would have made things so much easier. Could you please just transcribe everything into IPA? That'll make it all so much better.
No!
And most of all, our patrons who give us so much support and make it possible to keep the show going. We heart you with both of our hands. Mwah.
And if you like the show and you want to keep us going and support us and keep us talking, but you don't want to give us money directly, there are things you can do that work that have to do with how humans work, which is you can go on one of these social media platforms and tell the algorithm that you like us by actually following or liking us on the various places. That helps. You can also leave us a message on SpeakPipe so we can hear your beautiful voices. You can do that on our website, which is becauselanguage.com. And you can also send us an old-fashioned email, hello@becauselanguage.com. And then the most important thing that I think you can do is you can tell someone you like about us. That is how I get most of my podcast recommendations, and I think that's how people get them. So we would get more listeners if you told people about us.
Doesn't that sound like a lot of work? Wouldn't you rather give us money instead? Then we'll tell you how.
I was about to say. Now, if that isn't your thing and you would prefer to just give us some cash, well, boy, is there a way to do that? You could become a patron. You'll get bonus episodes before they come out to like Gen Pop. You can hang out with us on Discord and the rest of the people who are patrons with us, of which there are some truly stellar human beings. Like Matthias's question today on the show, which like blew my mind in like 3 successive mind blows. That's like Tuesday on our Discord, honestly. You'll be making it possible for us to make transcripts of our shows, so Daniel can do the same kind of data analysis that genuinely made Hedvig squeal with joy today.
It was so good. So good.
We're going to have a conference on the linguistic uses of Because Language transcripts. The first conference on Because Language.
Fuck yeah.
And the patrons who are currently just doing their all to make all of those things possible and reaping the many, many benefits are Iston, Termy, Elias, Matt, Whitney, Helen, Jack, Pharaohcat, Lord Mortis, Grammaryen, Larry, Christopher, Andy B, James, Nigel, Meredith, Kate, Nazrin, Joanna, bumping it up to the supporter level after years of being a patron. Thanks, Joanna. Aisha, who, word on the street, is the most beautiful person who has ever lived. Moe, Steele, Margareth, Manu, Roger, Rianne, Colleen, Ignacio, Sonic, Snedgehog, still love it even if it's hard to say, Kevin, Jeff, Andy from Logophilius, Stan, Kathy, Rush, Cheyenne, Felicity S, Amir, Canny Archer, Tim, Alyssa, Chris W, Felicity G, and to our newest patron, Ryan. Welcome at the friend level, Ryan. Also, Elliot, newest smasher of the one-time donation button on our website, becauselanguage.com. Thanks to all the people I just named and all of the people that I haven't named. Person listening who hasn't donated or liked anything on social media. Thanks to you, buddy.
There were 42 names just then, and we didn't see an N until Nasrin at number 32.
It's still a thing. It's a thing.
Our theme music has been written and performed by Drew Kroplyanov, who's a member of Ryan Bino and of Didion's Bible. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time. Because Language. Cuzzy Langs.
Pew, pew, pew. Wait, what exactly is Ben's problem?
Oh, so like on my phone, I'm in the gallery view, but the gallery tiles for some reason are like proper teeny, like dial-up internet, save as many of the kilobytes as possible thumbnails. They're like teeny tiny.
Switch to landscape?
I am on landscape. That's what I mean. It's
okay.
Just...
Hide yourself?
Okay, hiding. No.
There should be a hide yourself somehow.
Hide Ben from himself. Oh, if only.
Oh, yeah. Therapy is tried and failed, guys. I'm sorry. Actually, no. If I'm honest, therapy tries to do the exact
Tries to do the opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, and I
Okay,
don't
fuck it.
like it.
We hosted Christmas dinner at our house. And then we were like, how can we do this as low effort as possible, but still hit the right marks?
Notes. Yep.
So we drove to IKEA
Naturally.
and bought large amounts of meatballs.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Sounds like a Thursday.
And then cooked up some potatoes and other things and parsnips. And British people are obsessed with root vegetables for Christmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
In
So-
their
Nice.
defense, until like wheat and stuff made it to England, it was
Oh, yeah.
literally everything they could eat.
Aw.
No, fair enough. I mean, that's the rest of Europe too, but they really go for it. So Steve did all the root vegetables and we did a bunch of meatballs, and I can recommend it if you don't want to cook like a turkey or a ham or a bird of any kind. Just get pre-processed food and serve it to your guests.
Were they authentic reindeer meatballs?
Sorry?
Reindeer. Nobody
they
eats reindeer.
Yeah, IKEA sells reindeer meatballs.
Oh, people do that. It's just you can't get it at IKEA.
You can get it at our IKEA.
Reindeer meatballs?
Reindeer meatballs?
Yeah.
At your IKEA? Wow, that's very luxurious. No, we could just get the regular bland stuff and the plant stuff, and that was it.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
that's
having
cool.
a credibility gap. I'm going to drive after we finish this call. I'm going to drive there, and I'm going to make sure.
I don't know if I certainly, because they've closed the cafeteria in the Perth one now, and I very much know for sure that they
Wow.
used to sell the reindeer meatballs for you to eat on the spot in the cafeteria.
Goodness gracious! I didn't know they closed the cafe. That's huge.
If they haven't, they're going to. One of the two.
Yeah. Okay. Probably too low margin. Anyway, enough about that.
Yes, we should probably start a show eventually.